guys, I'm Aussie and welcome to episode 25 of the First Star Challenge with Leeds United, our bid to win the Champions League with the club for the first time. And today it's a summer transfer special. Now we are going to have, I think, Europa League qualifiers, so I'm not sure if we're going to get all the way through to the end of the transfer window start of the Premier League season, but we'll certainly get a nice chunk of it underway here. Now, we haven't moved on anyway. You can see we're still the same day here as the end of season awards. If you want to sort of see the ceremony and, of course, goal of the season, you can still vote for that as well. Go back, watch last episode for all that sort of stuff. I'll update you on who wins goal of the season or who's winning goal of the season, maybe at the start of next episode if I remember to do that, which I almost certainly will not. I definitely forgot to do it for Bala. Next episode, I'll go back and check. Alright, now let's start with finance to see what we have to work with here. We have £53.25 million to spend. We only have, it's huge, but we only have about 80 grand a week extra in wages, which could be a problem. Now, yes, we can transfer some money over, but you know, that's 50 million goes very, very quickly when you're trying to buy at the top end of football, aren't you? So yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly how that's going to work. We did have a quick look at Club Vision last episode, but the one thing we've got to sort of remember here is we can't sign players over 30, and we want to try and sign young players for a profit. So, yeah, I mean, that ties our hands a little bit if we are going to try and keep in the club ethos. But we're doing okay. We're an A- so far here, so that should be fine. Now, I want to quickly thank to Gary Turpie and Mark Risk. I think it is Mark. I'm sorry, I should have checked you last time. I think it's Risk. I mean, I know it's something like that. But if I've mispronounced it, I apologise. But anyway, my two scouts in general, thank you so much for your suggestions in the comments over the last episode or two. Those guys that you've suggested will be getting scouted. And we'll see where we go from there. It's sort of unanimous in the comments. We are going to need a right back because if we look at contracts that are... what am I doing? If we look at contracts that are expiring here, to give us an idea, Luke Ayling is out, so we'll need to replace him as a good solid right back option. The only other players really that are sort of leaving at the end of the contract, Will Huffner, I don't think we need him as a backup. He's decent, to be fair, but I don't think we need him anymore. We have Lumley, who's back up, and we have some other youngsters coming through, so I don't really see a sense in keeping him just for the sake of it. And Jay Rue, or Giroud, as I've christened him, he's a useful player. If I was sort of in the championship, I would definitely look at signing him just because he's a beast, a physical beast, but we've moved past that now. So that's you don't have too much coming out in wages. We'll save about 13 grand a week there, plus the loanees. We're going to have about, with all this money that goes out, about 100 grand a week. We are going to try and keep, I think, Batista, Maya, Villa, and possibly Xerxes as well. He's a good player. I just haven't quite figured out how to get the best out of him yet. But with European football, we're going to have more games, so we're going to have a deeper squad. So if we can, I think we'll keep these three at the club, and we'll look to get another centre-back in to replace Montez. Anyway, guys, I don't know what this summer's going to bring us. Let's see where it takes us. I'll be back when there's something to report. All right, let's shut down the office for a week, and then we'll come back and hit the transfer market up. Hello? Unai Emery. Yeah, mate, how can I help you? You want to sign Jamie Shackleton? Yeah, no, not a chance. Not a chance in the world. Wait a second, mate. I'm getting another call here. Hello? Oh, Jamie Shackleton. If I don't let you sign for Arsenal, you're going to sulk. Mate, what makes you think that Arsenal are even interested in you? You're sitting in Emery's office right now. I'm on speakerphone, aren't I? Jamie, mate, this hurts. You're my boy, mate. This really cuts me deep. Alright, well, I'll tell you what, Unai, since I know you're listening. 60 million. 25 million? Mate, you're having a laugh. I tell you what, 40 million and I get a 50% sell-on clause. Alright, you have a deal, but I'm not happy about this. And Jamie, do not come back to Leeds. Well, there you have it. We have lost Jamie Shackleton. He is an Arsenal player. That really, really pisses me off. I really didn't want to sell him, but he was going to kick off. He wanted to join Arsenal. We got 40 million plus a 50% sell-on clause, so that's not bad. I guess we can make do with that. But Jamie, come on, man, you were my boy. I mean, the main reason I was not too unhappy to do it in the end is that we do have a lot of midfielders. So, we can kind of, if there's a position that we do have strength in, it is in the centre of midfield. So 40 million, it is a good fee. And as I said, 50%, if they sell him on, we get half of it, what it is, no matter what it is. So it's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose. And the other player that's left is actually Robbie Gotts. We've had a lot of bids coming in for our players. I decided to sell Robbie Gotts 5.25 million, again with a 50% sell-on clause. Mainly because I think I've just mismanaged him a little bit, his development. I don't know that he's ever going to really develop into the player that he probably should have under me. So we get 5.25 in, and then anything that Sheffield United do sell him on for, and I think he will become worth more than that. We'll get half of that as well. So that's not actually too bad of a deal, considering I think it gets me out of a little bit of a sticky situation in that I really did sort of screw up his development. We probably should have loaned him out. I mean, he just didn't. I didn't play him enough. I just didn't play him enough, and that's my bad. I kind of screwed that up a little bit. So if we look at what that means for finances, really, really good. We've got just under 100 million to spend on players now. Wages are still a little bit of an issue, but you can see there we've gone up to just over £1 million a week now that we can spend on wages. So that's all good news. We have had Newcastle coming in, looking to sign John Suter, of course, one of our centre backs. We're not selling him, not for. I think I can't remember what they offered, but it wasn't anywhere near enough. If we're going to sell him again, it will be big money. Yeah, and the other player that we have some news on is Bonifazi is now an Italian international. So well done to Kev on his international status. Now, again, he's wanted. News is out that we are apparently a really good team. We've recruited well and we have good young players. Again, if we're going to sell him, it's going to be for big money. Now, we signed him for 7 million, so we're going to make a profit if we sell him. I'd be looking to get, again, something similar to 40 million. And we might, you never know, we might actually be able to upgrade on a replacement now, given where we stand as European team. But yeah, a little bit of a disappointing start to the transfer window, I've got to say. Robbie Gotts, I'm okay with, but Jamie Shackleton, Jamie. Okay, we are now June 25th. I thought we'd come back for a quick update because a little bit has happened, nothing major. Now, the first, we've had a bit of a setback in the loan market. Gonzalo Villa, Bayer Leverkusen, they've rejected the loan because they want to give him a chance in their first team. So that's a shame. Particularly with the loss of Shackleton. We could possibly really have used Gonzalo Villa for another season. Players that we've called into the first team squad, Marvin Tisha Boomer, the youngster we signed last year. He speaks fluent English now. I think the time is right for him to come into the first team squad and sort of see how he does. Who else have we called in here? Paris Maghoma we've called in. We'll kind of see. I'm thinking I might loan him out. He'll probably get more first-team football, but with the extra games in Europe as well, we're kind of waiting to see on that one. Jordan Stevens we've called in. I think he could be a good option as a right winger for this season. So yeah, I mean, he needs to be he's 21. He needs to be in the first-team squad now. We'll have a look at him and see what we want to do with him longer term. And the other person who I have called into the senior team, but I am considering loaning out actually, is David Baker, one of our youngsters who came in, I think, in last season's youth intake. And again, reminder, if you are a Patreon supporter and you want to have a youth player named after you, let me know in the comments. And there is the Patreon is down in the description if you want to have a look and see what level of that you qualify to get a players named after you. But David Baker, you can see we've got a bid in now from Salford. I'm thinking we might loan him out. I think maybe a season of football might be better off for him than sort of in and out of our first team. And I think that is just about it. We're waiting for contracts to expire, so that's why some of these players are still here that you may have expected to see leave. We want to get Bogac out. Not Bogac, sorry. We want to get Klitsch out of the club as well if we can this season. But that's where we're at. Quick update for you. There's nothing else too major to catch you up on right now. The only other thing, actually, there is two other things. John Suter has signed a new contract. I'm hoping, well, we offered him a new contract. Has he actually signed it yet? Maybe not. I'm hoping that doing that will sort of see, he hasn't actually agreed it yet. He's sort of agreed it, but hasn't signed it. I'm hoping that'll sort of see off the interest of Newcastle. And the other player that we had an offer accepted was with Harvey Barnes with Leicester. Now, of course, they got relegated last season. He wanted 100+ grand a week, and we just at this point of time cannot afford 100 grand a week, which is a shame because I think he would have been a good player. I'm assuming Leicester got promoted. Yeah, they did come back up. So, that horse probably bolts now a lot of the Leicester players, but there it is. You can see our opening day fixture away to newly promoted Nottingham Forest, so that's one to look forward to. It's a classic fixture, isn't it? Leeds versus Nottingham Forest. Looking forward to that. Anyway, guys, we do have irons in the transfer fire. I'll be back when we have something to announce. Okay, lots and lots and lots of breaking news. It's all happened at once. June 28th. It's a busy, busy day at Leeds United. First up, Oliver Batista Meyer has extended his loan for another year, so we will have Batista Meyer back next season. That's excellent because he can cover both sides as well as potentially up front. But he was decent for us last year, I thought, when he played. And with more games this year in Europe, he's going to be an important player. That is almost for certain. So that's good to see. We have also got Xerxes back on loan. A wonder kid, only a C+. We didn't get the best out of him last year, that is for sure. But he's a very, very good player. And I think, well, again, extra games. I think between him, Edmondson, and Leao, and maybe one more. I am trying to get another striker in if we can. We'll have 4 strikers, then top of the line, and we'll do. I think they'll do really well. But like I say, we need to get more out of him than we did last year. But I think that's more down to me than him, because we can see there he's a wonder kid. He's a very, very good player. But potentially the big one, I think we've replaced Shackleton. This is an absolute steal. £210,000, not even £1 million. Barcelona transfer listed him. I jumped straight in on this one. And that's it. There's no sell-ons. There's nothing. They transfer listed him. I didn't want him. He is a wonder kid. You can see there 19 grand a week. You can see all these sort of the bonuses and that we're paying. And there is a minimum release fee of 81 million. And he is that good that could actually come into play, I'll be honest. But let's have a look at him. I don't know how you say that first name. Ilax Moriba. Look at this guy. I think he's actually better than Shackleton. 18 years old. Where do you start? Physically, he's an absolute monster. Good technique. Good first touch. Decent passing. He's only 18, let's not forget. Flair of 17 as well. He can play pretty much anywhere. I don't know how we've got him for £210,000. You can buy houses for more than that. 5.25 million is already valued at. We've got him on a 3-year loan, a 3-year contract. Hopefully we'll be able to extend it. Let me know what you think in the comments. He's an absolute star. Can we compare him to Shackleton? I think he's better. I really, really do. Let's go and have a quick look. Compare with what's his name? Merida or something, wasn't it? He's down here somewhere. Merida. Did I see it? There he is there. Let's just have a quick look. Merida's in the blue. Look at that. Physically, he's so much better. Overall, they're probably even-ish. It's just physically, he's just so much better than Shackleton. But I tell you what, as far as replacements go, we couldn't have done much better than that, I don't think. And other things I did just want to quickly show you is look at this, and I don't usually get excited about a head of youth development, but this guy is definitely worth getting excited about. We're paying him more than we're paying a lot of players, but look at that. Our head of youth development, 18 grand a week we're paying him, but we've got him for the next 5 years. He can almost do any role in the club, but I tell you what, our youth are in very, very good hands with him leading the way. He doesn't have a weakness. His discipline's the only weakness, and I tell you what, we'll take that with everything else he has there. An absolute star. Search him out if you haven't already found him. Tony Beer. Yes, thank you very much. Anyway, guys, there should be more signings. We still need a right back, or maybe 2 right backs, depending on who we sign. And we probably need another centre-back. Montez, his loan's going to expire, and we're not getting him back. So there's still work to be done, but I'm pretty happy with what we have so far. Okay, more breaking news, and this is an A+ signing, the first one that we've had, and it is Adsone Edouard. Anyway, it's the striker from Celtic. We've signed him 16 million up front, potentially rising to 28.5 million. You can see there, after 50 games, it's 2.5. After 50 goals, it's 5. And when we qualify for the Champions League, it's 5 million as well. He's a 4-star player. We're paying him 70 grand a week. It's a lot of money. You can see the bonuses there. There is a release fee of 68 million for clubs in the Champions League. But to be honest, if we lose him for that, he's a 4-star player. We can probably do a little bit better down the line anyway. But for this season, I tell you what, our 4-man strike force right now is looking very, very good. Now, we can play in wide areas as well with decently, so that's good. But what I really like with this guy, physically, he's relatively good. But off the ball, composure and finishing, they're the big three, aren't they, for strikers? I think this guy, if Liao has any dip in form, he may even overtake Liao as our first choice striker. We have two really, really good, youngish striker. 23 is young, isn't it? So, again, a really, really good signing there. He's been at Celtic, he's been scoring goals. Maybe not as many as you would hope, but he has been scoring goals, which is good. Now, you will notice here that Edmondson was a little bit concerned about him coming in and taking game time. As ever, I've had Liam Cooper speak to him, and he's said it's fine. But Edmondson is a player that, again, a really good young player, potentially even better than Eduardo. So he will play this year. My thought is that I want to have this as a good option with the extra, cup games, European games as well. So I want to have 4 big strikers we can rely on. So we've got Liao, Xerxes, Edmondson, and now Eduardo as well, or Eduard. So we've got that. I've got my 4 strikers. That's what I wanted. There are still more signings potentially coming in. So we'll come back if and when those happen. They better happen because we're not quite strong enough just yet. And contracts haven't even expired yet. I mean, we're still in June. Wait for July 1st when contracts expire. Okay, 1 in, 1 out to report back to you here. The in is, Fiera Oliveira, a B- signing. We paid £1 million for him, so not too bad. Potentially he's quite good, but he's not quite there yet. We're not paying him too much, only 3.2 grand a week. You can see his bonuses there, all sort of my standard bonuses that I tend to hand out. Let's have a quick look at him. We've signed him. Where did we sign him from? We signed him from Monaco. He's played a little bit in their second team, but that's about it. What I like about this guy, he's pacey. He'll get up and down the wing for us. He's got decent fitness as well. He's not good in the air and he's not strong, but otherwise he's not too bad. Defensively, he looks okay. He can pass the ball. The obvious weakness, other than sort of jumping reach, is dribbling and crossing. But I'm thinking as a defensive winger with the pace, I think he'll do okay. Hopefully we can get his crossing up to a point where he can deliver a decent ball in with his pace. I don't think he's ever going to be a right winger. That is very, very ambitious of him. Anyway, so I think he'll do okay. I don't think he'll play too much for us this season. He'll probably be a little bit like the central defender we signed last year, where he'll probably go in the under-18s, let him develop there, learn the language, things like that. And we might look to use him in sort of Carabao Cup games, things like that, if we have a softer opponent. And the out is, I ended up selling Paris Makoma. 1.1 million with a 50% sell-on fee. I think we've absolutely mugged Crystal Palace on this one. Now, if you remember, we signed him on a free last year when Tottenham released him. So we've had him for a year, basically on the 23s, and made £1 million profit on him. He is decent. What I don't like about him, basically, technically, he's poor. He can't pass a ball, which is a problem. He can't tackle. He can't dribble or finish, or first touch isn't great. So I don't really think there's a future there for him in our first team. So when £1 million comes on the table, I mean, who am I to say no to that? Mentally, he's quite good. Physically, he's good as well. Good natural fitness. But I just think, let me know what you think in the comments. I think we've done okay to get £1 million for him after a season, and we wash our hands of him. That's pretty much it. You can see clubs in England have now released players. There's no one there particularly of interest. Maybe we're going to have a look at Tosun, this guy. Physically, he's quite good. There might be a backup centre-back there for us, but otherwise, everybody's sort of too old for our price range anyway. I'm not going to bother with it. But anyway, there's still irons in the fire. We're still looking to strengthen. Hopefully, there'll be 1 or 2 more signings. Harry, did Luke Ayling leave yet? There's still a bunch of crap in his locker. He leaves for MLS next week. Well, tell him to clean his locker out now. I need it. Hello? Alessandro Nesta. I have not heard of you since AC Milan. What are you doing with yourself these days? You're managing Lazio? Well, how would you like to buy Klitsch? You want Bonifazi. Listen, mate, I'm sorry, but Kev's just not for sale. 15 million, mate, stop wasting my time. So there you go. What a waste of time that was. 15 million for a player that is now worth 22.5. So I don't know what Lazio's on about. We're never, ever going to sell him for that. He was happy to stay. I mean, why wouldn't you be? Why would you want to go to Lazio when you're at Leeds United? But the reason we've come back is because we have a signing to announce, and it is, I tell you what, it's better than a C signing. It is basically, I'm looking to replace Hernandez. This is possibly going to be his last season. So Ante Coric, we've signed 2.6 million from Roma, I believe it was, while we were in Rome, while we were telling Nesta where to go. We thought we'd pick up a midfielder in the process. So we're paying him 40 grand a week. which seems a lot for a C-rated signing, but I do actually think he's going to be quite good for us. You can see all the bonuses there, all the usual bonuses. But 2.6 million, he was transfer listed by Roma. So yeah, we got him on the cheap. I'm really excited about this. I actually do think we may have found a new Pablo Hernandez. Now, passing isn't a massive strength of his, but he's got a good first touch, good dribbling, good technique, great vision, great flair. Physically, he's not the best, but he's already better than what Pablo Hernandez is there. Now, he's right-footed. My plan is to retrain him out here as an advanced playmaker. The fact he can dribble and cross means that I think he'll be useful as a winger as well. But I'm looking at, as I said, I'm looking for him to be basically the new Pablo Hernandez, and I think he's got all the attributes to do it. And if it doesn't come off, it wasn't even £3 million, so it's not too bad. So again, let me know what you think in the comments of this signing. He can also obviously play in the centre there where he's more natural. He can play on the left, but I'm not going to want him over there, I don't think. But maybe as an advanced playmaker on the left, it could work. But we basically have a season for him just to sort of watch Pablo Hernandez and become Pablo Hernandez. There should still be 1 or 2 more signings. We're in July now, July 5th. It's still a long way to go in the transfer window. I'm trying to get the business done early because I'm not sure when these Europa League qualifiers start. We haven't had a draw just yet. Okay, more breaking news, and I'm really excited about this signing. I've got to say, 3.2 million, a right back, Carlo Bartolek, 26 years old, so maybe a little bit older than we ideally would want to be signing players for, but you can see we're paying 36 grand a week. The usual bonuses there as well. Let's have a look at him. The fans say B-. I think he's much, much better than that. This guy, I think, if he doesn't challenge Owen Coyle, he's going to take his shirt, I think, if not just challenge. Physically quite good, not the best jumper in the air, but he's got the strength, he's pacey, which I like, he's good going forward, good first touch, long throws, which is maybe something we could look to exploit at some point. Weaknesses in his game as very much composure, decision-making, positioning, so the defensive side of his game isn't the strongest, which is, as I said, that's definitely the downfall, but we've got him cheap. He's already worth 11 million. He's not the worst tackler, so he's not going to be bad defensively, but there is definitely a weakness there that we'll work on. But yeah, I really, really think we've done quite well. We signed him from FC Copenhagen, so he hasn't really played at the top level before, which surprises me because I think, again, maybe there's something here I'm missing, but I think there's a very decent player there. So I'm really excited to see how he gets on. He can play as far forward as we need him to, but very much I think he's going to be a fullback or wingback, basically replacing Ayling, which he's definitely an upgrade on, and sort of sharing that role with Louis Coyle. So there we go. They're the signings that I have sort of made right now. We could potentially look to strengthen goalkeeper. If we look at the finances, we still have money in the bank. One thing I would like to do, and we're still doing okay on wage spending as well. One thing I would like to do is spend the money on our facilities coming up. So I'm trying to decide whether we want to. What I don't want to do is sign too many players, and I think we're not looking too bad. Just a quick update. I was letting out. Klitsch has left on loan for the season. The reason I've let him go on loan, he's gone back to Poland, Cracovia, I think it was. Yeah. So they're paying all of his wages. Now the reason I've done that is because his value has absolutely plummeted. So what I'm hoping is that, we're not going to get that much for him, relatively speaking, now anyway. So this gets his wages out the door for the season. And what I'm hoping is that playing for a year, his value will go up again. Then we can look to sell him on at the end of this coming season. We're just not using him. He played 3 games for us last year, even with the increased games in Europe. We have youngsters coming through who I'm really, really keen to give game time to. We're looking at the likes of Gary Turpie, who I think is ready to play a lot more first-team football this year, as is Noah Kenny as well. He's ready to play more first-team football this year. We also have, obviously, McCalmont. We have Calvin Phillips. We have Moriba. I'm going to have to get used to that name, aren't I? Bogac. We just signed Ante Koric, who can play in a deeper role. If you go and have a look at our under-23s, we have some options in here as well in central midfield. We have the likes of, where'd he go? Here it is here, Stephen Daly, who can play, just about ready for first-team football as well, at a lower level. So I don't think he's going to play, of course, Iqbal as well, who I still think there's a decent player in there at a certain level. So we weren't going to use him. He was going to be sort of taking game time off the likes of Iqbal and Daly. To be honest, I'd rather have youngsters that could develop into something playing those minutes than him, than Klitsch. So there we go. That is Klitsch out the door for this season, possibly permanently. Okay, more breaking news, and this could be our final signing, but I think it's another good one. We have signed another Barcelona midfielder who they've transfer listed. So we've got this guy, Carlos Alina. Now, you may remember this guy if you were watching Raise the Halt with Aston Villa last, was it FM19? We signed Carlos Alina as well. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. But 3.9 million, we're paying him £38,000 a week. You can see again all the bonuses there. It's all the usual bonuses, goals, team of the year, all that sort of stuff that I usually give out. But 3.9 million, let's have a look at him. We've signed him from Barcelona B. And another absolute star. Yes, it's another central midfielder. I'm looking to use him more in this role. Because I think what's going to happen this year is that because we came sixth last year, I think we're going to have to be a lot more attacking to break down some of the lesser teams. And I think this guy is almost perfect. I think he's got good dribbling, good first touch, passing technique, good vision, excellent flair. I think he's going to be someone we can bring on or start games and break them down. He can pretty much play anywhere down sort of the spine in midfield, so I think he's going to be useful for us in that sense as well. A couple of different roles. But at 3.9 million, an absolute steal. I'm just waiting for Barcelona to transfer their amazingly talented young midfielders, and we're just snapping them up right now. He played in the B team last year, did okay. I think he can make the step up to the Premier League without too much fuss at all. So there we go, 3.9 million for Carlos Salina. One other signing to catch you up on. We did end up signing Tosin, this guy from Man City. We're paying him 10 grand a week, which is a little bit more ideally than I would have liked, but he can step forward if we need him to as well, which is a useful, to have a player that can do that quite comfortably. He can, in theory, go over and play fullback, though we can't really get forward, so I don't think we're going to use him in that role. But physically, this guy's an absolute star. Mentally, he's fine. Technically, he's fine. So really, I think a really, really good signing on a free transfer as well. Which, we can't complain about. He was on loan at Derby last year. He's been out on loan in the Championship for a few years. He's played games. He's done fine. So I think he's a good, solid squad option. Then if we need to, we'll sell him on. There'll always be someone in the Premier League who'll want a player of this quality. I am reasonably confident in that. Yeah, that's where we are right now. Again, goalkeeper is the only position right now I'm looking at and thinking, could we do better? But we'll wait and see. Still about 2-3 weeks to go here. Oh, yeah, I just love the feel of the mist on my bare skin. I want to get a day away. Hello? Oh, head physio Rob Price. What's going on, mate? Yeah, out of the office today, mate. Just soaking up some of this liquid sunshine here at Scarborough Beach. Why? What's going on, mate? A broken leg? Oh, who? Barlow Torre? Oh, but mate, I just loaned out Left Davis. Okay, more breaking news, and with the broken ankle for Barlow Torre, we have had to go out and sign another left back because Left Davis is obviously on loan to Portsmouth, and we're not going to be able to call him back before the transfer window closes. So we only had, that means Barry Douglas as a left back. So we needed to sign somebody else. Now Douglas's contract is up at the end of this season. I'm not expecting to re-sign him. So we needed a left back anyway. So basically we've gone ahead and signed a left back probably a season earlier than we would have done otherwise. So I've gone a little bit younger than I would have signed otherwise. A B- signing here. Arthur Zegre. We have signed him from, was it Paris? No, it was from Monaco, wasn't it? Yeah, we signed him from Monaco. We really raid Monaco for youngsters, don't we, at times? The sort of the new, who was it back in the day that you used to always go to? I can't think now, but like Dinamo Zagreb's another one. Just go scout their youngsters and just sign their whole club. But anyway, we're paying him $9.5 grand a week, which isn't too bad. You can see there's a pathway there to the first team, a fringe player this year, squad player, then a regular starter in 3 years' time, which I think is fair enough. Let's go and have a look at him, and I think you'll agree, a very, very decent player, potentially 5-star. Physically, he's quite good, just lacks a little bit of jumping reach, but really, it's a fullback. Most of them do. Decent enough getting forward, decent enough defensively. Positioning could use some work, and we will work on that. But otherwise, very, very well-rounded, and for this season, I think he will do a decent job keeping Barry Douglas sort of on his toes. It's 2 to 3 months. It's not the worst break. It's a broken ankle. Yeah, 2 to 3 months. Barlow Torre will be back. At which point we might even look to loan out the new guy for the second half of the year. We'll kind of see how the season's going at that point. But yeah, it's a real shame for Barlow Torre, that one. But I think we've done a decent enough job replacing him on very short notice. Now, we do also have an out. Tyler Roberts has left. He's gone off to FC Cologne. just under 8 million. There's some wages. Sorry, not some wages. Some installments there. We are paying a little. No, I don't think we are paying his wages. There was 2 bids. One was wages, but I think that was a Dutch club. His contract was up the end of this year. I don't think he's good enough, basically. I don't think we were going to renew him. I would have liked to have got a sell-on clause, a 50% sell-on clause, but ultimately, the clubs weren't offering that. With his contract at the end of the year, I didn't want a situation like Klitsch where I thought we could maybe get 20 million for him, and as it turns out, 2 seasons later, 3 seasons later, Klitsch is probably going to end up leaving on next to a free. So I figure we'll get something for him. So that is that. Now the good news is that we're already in the Europa League group stage. We don't have to worry about qualifying. So we're at July 31st. We're about 3-4 days. I think we're coming to anyway the last week of the transfer window before the Premier League season starts. I don't know that we'll see too much else, but we'll come back and wrap up the transfer window. And maybe, you never know, maybe there will be another signing. Alright, the transfer window has now closed, and, well, we can see we were the most active. 10 transfers that we made. Manchester City, 248 million they spent. That is ridiculous. We can see the 3 big ones there. Dembele came in from Barcelona to go to Man City. Bernardo Silva went from City to Paris. 202 million. That is ridiculous. He's not that good, is he? Surely not. Golovin went from Monaco to Monaco's made some money this year in the transfer market, haven't they? Lots of players out for them. Now, if we look at the wage spend here, we are 19th in wage spend with 950 grand. Now, even if we had spent, where are we here? I've just moved that. I didn't mean to. That's going to annoy me. Even if we had spent the just over £1 million that we do have to spend, we still would have been 19th. So we are massively leaving us, Gus. I think Gus is leaving. We're massively overachieving in terms of sort of wage spend. In theory, the wage table is roughly supposed to be the Premier League, the league table. So we've massively overachieved, and we're up against it again this season. The board is not being very loose with the purse strings here, but that's okay. Where do we find ourselves at the end of the transfer window? We are £95 million in the bank, 70 million to still spend if we need to or want to in January, and we have about another 50 or so thousand pounds a week we can spend. So we've got probably the wages for one more player, a big player, and then obviously the transfer budget. We could move that around, but I'm pretty happy with what we've done. A quick recap here, and we will see the outs, the main outs. Robbie Gotts, of course, we sold early on. We also, against our will, sold Jamie Shackleton, who's now unhappy. What's he unhappy about? Concerns over being replaced. He's just been signed and he's concerned about being replaced. I'll tell you what, I wonder if we should have just add him to the short list. Just see what happens with Jamie Shackleton. Maybe we'll have him back sooner than we thought. Bunch of youngsters went out on loan. Zach Darnley left permanently off to Ayr United. Paris Maghoma, who of course we signed on a free last season, sold him on for £1 million this season. Luke Ayling went off to MLS. Klitsch, we've loaned out back off to Poland for him. Left Davis, we have loaned, though in hindsight, we wouldn't have done that if we'd known that the Bolo Torre broken leg was going to happen. And of course, Tyler Roberts, we've also sold off for 7.75. So we bought in £54 million this summer. We spent 31.5. Now, of course, we've got these 2 youngsters in early doors. We'll just kind of see what happens with them. Both free transfers. They may not come off, but we'll see how it goes. Mariba, who we used £210,000 to replace Shackleton with. What a player he could be for us. Back from injury in pre-season and doing pretty well. Edouard from Celtic, 16 million up front, potentially rising up to 28, I think it was. A very, very good striker for us. Another one for the future here, Oliveira. £1 million up front for him, and we'll see what happens with him. Very good physically. I don't know if he's going to be an attacking fullback for us or not. Ante Koric, hopefully this guy is going to be the new Pablo Hernandez for us. He came in, was at 2.9, I think, 40 grand a week. Creative player, so hopefully he'll be a bit of a game breaker for us. Carlo Bartolek, right back. Not necessarily the first choice I would have signed, but a lot of the guys that you had suggested, thinking Max Aarons, Tyler Adams, a few others, either they didn't want to come or the wages were just too much for us. But Carlo Bartolek, who our scouts found, I think will do a good job there for us. Tosin, that guy, Adara Bayo, got him on a free transfer from Man City. Very, very promising centre-back for us. Hopefully, will be good physically. I really, really like him. Carlos Alina, another Barcelona midfielder we snapped up when they transfer listed him. Creative force again. I think he'll do a good job for us. 3.9 we paid for him. And the sort of panic buy at the end, we needed a left back. Arthur Zagre, 4.5 million, potentially rising to 10.5. A good, solid left back, and I think we've done okay there. We've landed on our feet with that Barlo Torre broken leg. He'll be a good player for us for many, many years to come. He signed a 5-year deal as well. Let's go and have a look at where that leaves us for the season up ahead here. And we will see if we look at the squad depth. I wanted 4 strikers in case we wanted to go with 2 strikers up top this year, which I think we will at times. And we've got that with Edmondson, with Edouard, with Xerxes, who we got back on loan, and with Rafael Leao, our star of last season as well. So 4 really, really strong options there. If we're looking at wingers, Jared Bowen, of course, the star of last season. Helder Costa didn't do much for us last year, but he's still a good player. Batista Maya, who we got back on loan as well, and then Leao could play out here, as could Pablo Hernandez. If we go over to the right side, much of the same. The main difference, I think, there is Ante Coric, who we will look to play on that right side as an advanced playmaker, or on either side actually as an advanced playmaker. But he can also play as a number 10, along with Bogic, who you can see there, 48 grand a week he's on now. He signed a 5-year deal. He's with us for the long term now, which is excellent. Carlos Alina, who we've just seen, obviously can play the number 10, as can Hernandez, and Moriba, who we've also just seen, can play as a number 10. We're not going to play midfielders in these particular positions, but in centre of midfield, we've seen Merida already. We know Calvin Phillips, player of the season last year, an absolute star. Bogac, who we've already seen, Alina, McCalmont, we know is a good player. And if we just go and have a quick look at some of the other options here. Now, how do I get into this? Here we go here. We know we also have Noah Kenny, who's really, really good. Look at the potential on some of these guys here. Really, really good players, as is Gary Turpie. So we're really, really well off. There is some interest in Gary to go off on loan. I'm not looking to do that. I think with European games as well as Cup games, he will get enough football this year, certainly before Christmas, and we can look to reevaluate that situation afterwards. If we go back into the defensive midfielder roles, there's no one there that we haven't already seen. Centre backs, I think we're okay. It doesn't look too good star rating wise, but I think we're okay. We know Bonifazi is a good player, and we saw last season Suter is solid as a rock for us back there as well. We also have Liam Cooper, Captain Courageous. Pascal Strijak, who never really let us down despite my sort of not always being fully confident. Tosin, who we've seen as a good option there. And there is obviously a few other guys that can drop back in there. Marvin Tish Bua Bua is the main youngster that we'll look to give game time to this year. You can see Gary Turner. There's other guys can drop back in there, but they're sort of the main 5 or 6 that will play as centre backs. If we're looking at left back, we know Barlo Torre is going to be missing for the first half of the year, but he is a good player. Barry Douglas, it will in all likelihood be his final season. His contract's up at the end of this year, and we've essentially replaced him now with our 2 French fullbacks. So it'll be sort of a farewell tour for him. And we just saw Zagre as well. So we've got sort of, when they're all fit, 3 left backs there, but for the most part, it'll be Bolo Torre, it'll be those 3 anyway. If we go to the right, we know that Louis Coyle was a very solid option for us last year, and we've added to that, as I already just showed you, Bartolek for this season. We have Suter, we have Bonifazi, who can play on the right, but most of the backup will be provided here by Oliveira, who is again another really good young player, only 18 years of age. Goalkeeper, I did look at goalkeepers. There was just Rajkovic they all wanted to be sort of first team players, and we have Kiko Casilla right now as a first team player, and I don't think I wanted to spend the wages on another goalkeeper right now. I think we'll reassess it in January. I'm wondering if he's got 2 more years left on his contract, which is the problem with Casilla, isn't it? I don't know what we're going to do with him, but he's good enough to start the season. That's not a problem. We know we have Joe Lumley as the backup. He's solid as a rock as a backup. And then or Malay, however you say that, is sort of right now in the team. We also have some other young goalkeepers coming up. If I can go into the under-23s here, and it's probably easier just to go to squad. And if we get goalkeepers up, we can see here Thomas Williams Askey is the real prospect coming up through the system as the goalkeeper. And we also have, as you've just seen, that youngster that we signed that can do a job. So I'm thinking we might send the youngster out. As you can see, he's wanted to be signed by a number of teams. We're not going to sell him. I might look to loan him out this year if a decent level club comes in. and just make sure he's getting first team football, maybe at a League 1, League 2 level. But there we go. That is the transfer special done and dusted. Let me know in the comments how you think we're going to do this season. I think we have strengthened overall. I think we've landed on our feet. Shackleton wasn't one I was looking to sell or wanted to sell, but he was going to kick off, and I think we've done quite well to replace him. I'm happy with our striking options. Defensively is perhaps the weakness, but I think we've got enough there to see ourselves through, and we can still obviously loan more players back as well. We don't have Villa because he didn't want to come back. Well, the club didn't want him to come back, and of course Montez hasn't come back as well. So maybe centre-back is the weakness if there is one, but I'm relatively happy with what we've got. Guys, as I said, let me know what you think in the comments, how we'll do this year. Will we manage to do top 6 again? Will we manage to push into the Champions League again? I do think we're going to need to play with number 10s more this year, just because I think we're going to be treated as a good team. Teams are going to sit back, and I think we're going to have to be a little bit more risk-taking. But guys, I'll see you tomorrow when we get the Premier League season underway against Nottingham Forest and against somebody else. Until then, I've been Aussie Villain. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.